So welcome to It Is This 1843 on the 5th of June 2022. Thabile Mange, good evening to you, and how are you doing? I know today is very cold, but how are you doing?
Good evening, Preston. I'm doing very well, and I'm keeping warm.
So today is actually a very interesting day. We're looking at a very interesting book, right? And this book was written by a white man, right?
Yes.
And this white man, he was talking about other white men that are stinking rich. And when we talk about, rich, and we say you are stinking rich, it means that you are actually swimming in wealth. Eh?
Yes, these are billionaires.
So these are billionaires, and so they come from an area which is actually about 50 kilometers outside of Cape Town, and which is called Stellenbosch. And at some point, I remember somebody was describing this place as some kind of a bubble. It is as if it's a country inside a country.
I don't know under what context was that person referring to.
In fact, it's not only one person who said this thing. Quite a number of people to say, the people that actually stays there, they feel more or much more important and special than other people, except for the part where there are like some of the people from there are thinking rich, but yes, they say it's like a country in South Africa, which is even bigger than Lesotho in terms of the wealth that it has.
What is interesting is that it's only a 12% of whites who are staying in Stellenbosch. 40% consist of blacks and coloreds. So if we are talking about those people, there are quite a few people, but it looks like they are wielding power. They have so much influence from Stellenbosch to the entire country.
So all these people are actually male, right? And they are all Afrikaners.
All male and all Afrikaners.
Now, what is the difference between stinking rich and wealthy?
Wealth is generational. So that means if I'm wealthy and I die, generations and generations to come will still benefit. But richness, it's sort of short term. We are rich now. Sometimes when I die, my kids lose that richness. So I think that's the difference. But with Stellenbosch mafias, they are wealthy.
So we're talking about the Stellenbosch Mafia, right? And which is actually a book that is written by a journalist who happens to be a political journalist. What is his name?
Peter Jutoit.
Jutoit.
He is a senior journalist for News 24.
He's a senior journalist for News 24. Does he say in the book why he wrote this book?
Yes, he does. He wanted to investigate if the Stellenbosch Mafia is a true phenomenon or is just a figment of imagination of certain individuals.
Yes.
So that motivated him, to dig deep, to do a thorough investigation, a thorough research, to check if it's just a word that is used for political reasons, or does it really exist? Because when we're talking about mafias, we are talking about individuals who are involved in illegal activities. So he wanted to check if this guy's wealth is based on illegality or if they have worked for their wealth. That's what motivated him
to actually write the book. Now,
yes.
When he say mafia, was he saying mafia in the true sense of the word mafia, or is a term that is coined to mean something else that perhaps we don't know?
This term, I believe it was coined by Julius Malema. And then Malema uses this mafia in a sense that these so-called mafias are using their money to manipulate and to run the country. So in that sense, he regards them as mafias because they are not elected into politics, but according to him or them, they are also playing a political game. So in that sense.
Now, when one look at the place Stellenbosch, you find that they are people who calls it the cradle of Afrikanerdom. They say this is the birthplace of apartheid leaders, and this is the birthplace of intellectuals, newspaper empires and more. And they say this is actually a club of billionaires. Does that come out of the book?
Yes, it comes out of the book. It comes out of the author. Stellenbosch has played a key role in formulating the apartheid ideology. In fact, it was formulated at the Stellenbosch University. Its academics played a major and a leading role in formulating this ideology and in justifying it. So it was birthed in Stellenbosch. So hence, when you mention Stellenbosch, black people who understand the origin, where apartheid originates from, they have goosebumps because they understand where it comes from. Many apartheid leaders, many apartheid architects studied at the Stellenbosch University.
They come from the Stellenbosch University. So
even some of these so-called Stellenbosch mafias, some studied from Stellenbosh University.
What is the maybe main reason why people like Julius Malema coined it the Stellenbosch Mafia? I will tell you the reason why. Because at some point there is a gentleman called Floyd Shivambu, who was actually even accused of being very close to these mafias.
Specifically Rupert. That's one interesting point that you're raising. Julius Malema appears not to be liking Rupert. He's called him names. He's called him a Stellenbosch Mafia. But on the other side, Floyd Shivambu is very close to Rupert. He was a link between him and the EFF and the ANC. So it remains unclear. We've never heard Floyd saying negative things about Rupert, Stellenbosch mafias. But the EFF leader is in the forefront. So I'm not sure if they are playing politics or what. It remains unclear. It remains unclear.
It remains unclear. In fact, it is actually an enigma in itself because, Floyd and Julius are actually very close to each other.
Very close. From ANC Youth League days, even now at the EFF, they are very, very close. They are not just comrades, they are more than that.
They are more than comrades. They are actually brothers in arms. They are. They have been together for a very, very, very,
very long time.
One is a president. One is a deputy president.
Yes.
So let's talk about now the value that we get out of this book.
There is so much value. In fact, I would recommend anyone, especially blacks, to read this book. For instance, it explains many things It explains how Capitec was formulated by the so-called Stellenbosch Mafias. The mediclinics that we see all over the country. It started as a small clinic somewhere in Cape Town. It took 7 years for it to be profitable. At some point, the African funders were saying, no, let's leave this project. It's not accruing any benefit. But today, as we speak, in every city, there is a mediclinic. Okay. In every city.
Now, there was a point where Mr. Rupert went to speak to Given Mukari.
Yes.
What was the reason behind him talking to Given Mukari? Was it because he wanted to benefit something out of that conversation, or he just wanted to go there and have a discussion?
Firstly, Rupert is very reluctant to speak to the media. So he was advised. Interestingly, Floyd was one of the people, Floyd Shibambu, was one of the people who encouraged him to go to the Given Mukari show. Basically, he was there to clarify his name, to indicate that he is not a mafia, and that he has the best interest of the country at heart. But quite honestly, he failed.
Yes.
He was very nervous, and he didn't utter the correct words. So he failed. But he went there, after he was urged, after he was encouraged to do. He didn't just do it optionally.
On his side, how did it go?
I don't understand the question.
I'm saying from his side, if you were to rate it, to say, I went to a place to go and do something, and when you come back and they ask you, how did it go? So for him, if you were to ask him that question, how would he respond?
I'm not really sure how would he respond, but if he were to be honest, I think he would say it went bad, because he was visibly uncomfortable. You could see that he was not uncomfortable. Certain questions were asked to him, and you could see that he's not comfortable responding to those questions. He's a private person. He was not comfortable talking about his riches, though according to him, he worked hard for them, but he was not comfortable. So I don't think it went well for him. Yes.
Okay. Very interesting. Now, coming back to the book itself, let's just talk about who should read this book. Must a white young man of 18-year-old read this book?
Yes, it would benefit him or her. It would give him a proper background of where Afrikaners come from. How did they make their money? How are they making their money? And I also think blacks can benefit immensely, especially in the state that we find ourselves in. We tend to blame apartheid and whites for our state of economy, for our state of finance, for our state of politics. But we don't seem to have a plan to move forward. We're not working together. One thing that is mentioned in this book is that those Afrikaners who stays in Stellenbosch hate each other, but when it comes to business, they collaborate, they work together. So I would recommend it to especially blacks. Yes, especially blacks who are interested in politics and in business.
So in terms of working together and becoming or being able to achieve more when people are working together.
Yes.
So very, 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 very interesting book. Now, where do we get this book and how much does it cost?
The book costs 200 rands. From where I'm studying the book, it's all over all the bookstores. I think maybe only small bookstores don't have it, but all the bookstores have this book. Oh. It was one of the most selling books from 2021.
From 2021?
21, yes.
Oh, okay. Now, Peter du Toit, did he make money out of this book?
Yes, he did. A lot. No, a lot.
So because the market for this book is both black and white.
Black and white, yes. Yes. Anyone is interested in the story of Stellenbosch Mafias, it was an enigma before. We didn't know who are they, what are they on about. So this book helped, to remove the veil so that we know who they are. We knew a few, like Rupert. Rupert is very famous. He's the face of Stellenbosch Mafias. Here's something interesting. Rupert doesn't stay in Stellenbosch.
Oh, yes. He stays outside of Stellenbosch.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And all these 5 white males were mentioned. And the name Marcus, I know.
Was there.
But the name Jenny, I don't know.
Jenny Durant.
Is it Mouton?
Oh, Mouton. Jenny Mouton is the chairperson of PSG Group. They also fix windows. It's a group. It has various businesses. So he's one of those Stellenbosch Mafias. He's not famous. Morton, Durant, and Herzog, they are not famous. There are few that are famous, like Whitey Person, Michael Leroux, but most of them are not.
So in the book, you can see, the front page of the book, Rupert is number 1.
Yes.
Is there anything we can read on that?
About Rupert?
No. About that picture. What do you read at the picture, like looking at the picture?
Yeah, it shows wealthy white people, and it also shows that the economy is still in the hands of a few people, and it doesn't look like that is going to change anytime soon.
Now, seeing Rupert being at the forefront there, does it mean he's the leader of the pack?
He is regarded as such. But Christoph Wiese is said to be the richest. He lost his money through staying off, but apparently he has recovered. Now he's leading the pack. But Rupert is the face. I don't think he's a leader per se, but he's the face.
Oh, that's why he's, standing in front.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's do this. Now, out of 10, how many stars do you give?
I would give it 8. The author has done a good job in terms of researching, investigating. He gives a proper background of Afrikaners, the first Afrikaner who was involved in business, who was rich. So from where I'm standing, it deserves an 8 out of 10.
Thank you so very much for that lovely review. Very interesting story that everybody should read.